back to land, how many times we've seen cities vote to give land to corporations for like $1 rent per year for 100 years.
That's crazy.
Like so when you talk about land and access to land or whatever, again, like elected people deciding what's going to happen. Like a city can decide, okay, this is city owned property, so Walmart, Amazon, soccer team, whatever, like you can have a lease on this land for $1.
I was just about to talk about the soccer team because
the sport guy in him.
Get a lot of
same thing with the damn Marlins Stadium. But anyway, that's whatever. But so basically,
wasn't there controversy with the Marlins Stadium because it was like built? They were moving people out of their houses.
Yeah, Little Havana. Yeah. So pretty much, and then you know when like a stadium. That's
the same thing with the Liberty City apartments that they just built. They were telling these people like, we're gonna build them and we're gonna make them affordable for you. But when you look at the prices, it's not what they were paying before. So now you've moved them out, and they can't pay the rent that you've actually said for them to. Yeah. So it's like.
And people don't realize too, the taxes go up, especially like the stadium. They try because what they building that. I know the one in Fort Lauderdale for 2 years, but the one in Miami. Is it still gonna be? They still gonna
the
put
Beckham one?
Yeah, the Beckham.
No,
one.
The Beckham one's about to come up here.
But they said but they said that's gonna be. They gonna have that stadium for 2 years, but the one in Miami, I think they're really trying to pass it. They just
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think they did say that one was gonna be a short term.
Yeah.
One at Lockhart Stadium.
That's interesting. I mean, this is the stuff that we research and we talk about all the time, and this is the stuff that like I love reading about because even thinking about housing and affordable housing.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know that there is a trust fund set up for affordable housing that's supposed to have hundreds of millions of dollars in it at this point. But every year during Florida's legislative session, when they balance the budget, that housing trust fund is the first one that they take money out of. Like sometimes it's $10 million, sometimes they take the whole thing to balance Florida's budget. What that trust fund is meant to do is affordable housing is not profitable for developers to build. You make no money off of trying to build affordable housing, which is why they don't want to build affordable housing. So this trust fund is supposed to filter down to local government to give the profit to a developer.
Right.
So to incentivize them building more affordable housing at actually affordable rates for people to live in. But if there's no money in this trust fund, developers have no incentive to build, and then you have people getting displaced in Fort Lauderdale, over in Sistrunk, down in Liberty City, all of this stuff, and like there's no way that people can move back into their homes. And that's at a state level that this is happening.
And I'm glad you brought that up because when I was working with Dade County, Broward County, when it comes to parking red is the most, probably up the like top 3 when it comes to like trickle down, to put the money in. And Dade County, they don't care about their parks.
They don't.
That's why you see the parks like MLK and all that, like they not.
I think it depends on where though, because if you look at Oak Grove just got a whole new center.
Well, it took, how long?
It took a while, but they finally got it. But then if you look at the parks that are in Aventura, they're spotless and beautiful, and they have all of these things. So I think it's that whole systemic racism idea, like not idea, but like that whole we're not going to invest in this area because they're really not going to need it. They don't care about it. They're not that as if Aventura because that's where all the money is. Let's invest more into this. Like I can count in my hand how many parks there are in the area in which I work in compared to when I worked at Holmes in Liberty City. I didn't see that many parks. Like the park that was on the school and the other schools that were around were the only ones that had playgrounds.
Like Grand Cherry was created because all the athletes that came from Miami, they donated so much money. That's why it's like that park is always something going on. It's always getting renovated, like because it's like there's always an athlete coming out from South Florida. So they're like, hey, Grand Cherry, it's a few parks. The one in Miami Gardens, that one, the
Betty T.
Betty T. Ferguson. What's the ones up here in Broward? It's a couple of them.
They did something. The Orange Bowl redid Carter Park.
Yeah, Carter Park and stuff like that. So it's like,
I feel like the one by our house.
it's like
Not Carter. The other one where the Delta house is.
There's a Delta house by your house?
The one with the canopy for the basketball.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of this is it's so much. It's so much. But yeah.
It's a lot. But we have individuals like you guys who are consistently attempting to educate, or you in some ways are succeeding to educate your community and bring awareness to the issues that a lot of our community, like there's things that you guys just mentioned that I had no idea about, that John didn't have any idea about, and it helps us as citizens and as individuals be more aware. Like, you're joking, but I know you're serious about like trying to get me to work and like to be a part of the school board. Like, it's a like I'm laughing at it, but I know she's serious, and it takes individuals like Jasmine and of course like you to spark that light and encourage individuals. So I really do appreciate you guys like doing that work.
Yeah, because I'm just saying, like I tell her all the time, like tell her and my best friend, like y'all literally got the world in your hands if y'all keep moving up and keep, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I was just gonna say that it's all of us, man. All of us have our role to play, right. And all of us need to be doing the hard work of like freeing and liberating our people. And it doesn't have to be like us. We're like all in every day, right? But everybody can do it through their own sphere of influence, right? So it's like you said, like what are you teaching the kids that are coming through your classroom? How are you pushing back or putting a bug in your like coworkers' ears about specific things? How can you get more resources for kids that maybe don't have it in school? Things like that. And you with business, like how are you making sure that okay, I got some time. Let me go down here to maybe help in this incubator that's helping people to figure out business stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's all of us can do it in some way, and you don't have to like step way out your box to do it. You can be inside your box and make that box, right? A place that helps our people out, right? So you ain't got to be in the streets all the time. You can leave that to us. We would like you to come. Sometimes we're gonna need people, right? Because real change was never happened from like a few people. It was thousands and thousands of people stepping up to push something for it to happen. But everyday work, you do it where you're at.
I think because you just reminded me of something that I did that for the first time in the 6 years that I've been teaching, I was super proud of myself for doing. I taught at a charter school where a majority of the kids were Hispanic, and during February, you have Black History Month, so I was teaching reading. So the literature for that week was like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. The typical, not to like be shady or anything, but like the typical African Americans that you would read during this time. But the thing was, I asked my kids before, because you always want to build that background knowledge before you start teaching. So I was like, do you guys know who Harriet Tubman is? And they all looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, how do you guys not know this person? Yeah. What's going on here? And they were like, no, we don't know who she is. And I was like, well, she was a slave who freed herself. Well, with help from others, she freed herself. And then she went back at first to get her husband, and then things didn't work out. And then she went back to get others to bring them to freedom. And during that time, Underground was on TV. And one of the episodes that they had was Harriet Tubman giving a speech. And I remember, because I was impacted by it. Like, I was in my room, like, boo-hoo, crying when she was, like, talking. And I showed them, she said something, and I forgot what it is, but she said something there, and before we even read the book, I was like, I want to show you guys, it's just a clip of her speech. And they saw the speech. And then when I stopped it, they were like, no, don't stop it. I was like, what do you mean? We gotta read. They're like, no, for real, like, don't stop it. I was like, why? They're like, because this is true, Miss Fleet. Like, this is really true. And I was like, yeah, this actually happened. And like, a lot of my kids were from Cuba, or some of them were from South America. And I was like, you guys, your countries all had slaveries. They were like, no, they didn't, Miss Fleet. That's not true. I was like, no, they did. They actually did. And like, this is what happened. They would come from these areas in Africa where even like some of the tribes in Africa would sell to the white men for money, or like they would come and kidnap them out of their own like tribes and stuff like that. And like, I went into the depth story and they were like, you're lying. Like, they could not believe what I was saying was true. And then I was like, okay, fine, then don't believe me, listen to the story from the show. And they literally sat there. I had never, like, I've played movies for them before. And when I tell you, they were stone cold, like, quiet. Like, you could hear a pin drop as they were watching the actor give, and I don't know if that was her speech word for word. I don't even know if that actually happened for real. But when they were hearing the things, like her getting whipped and like how she had to raise someone else's kid and not her own, and they looked at me and they were like, are you seriously, like, this is unfair, like, this is not right, this is not something that should happen. And then it went from that, and that month I think was like my best month teaching, because every day they were listening for a new poem, like from Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, like any black poet that I could find, they were getting a poem from it, even if it was just a video. And that to me was like my best time teaching ever. And that's something that I consistently try to do every day of my life, even with my kids who are special, not special, but who are considered special, who are labeled as SPED, because just because they might not have the normal quote unquote capacity, they still gain something from that. And that is something that to this day, like one of my kids saw me today and they're like, Miss Fleet, one of our teachers was teaching us something about Black history and she did it wrong.
She did it wrong.
Like, oh my God. But like, that's stuff to me that I don't realize I'm making an impact, because I genuinely do it because it's something that's important to me, because it's something that I would teach my kids. And I always have the mentality as a teacher that I'm going to stand in front of this class and teach this class like I would teach my kids, my borns, because they're going to go out into the world one day. And I rather have them know the truth, because I don't want them to be like me. When I went to FAMU, that's when I learned all my history. Right. Like, that's just because I was mandated to take a Black history course.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that makes me think of like the Asada quote that we always say all the time, which I also think is a perfect way to like round up all of the conversations that we've had tonight, even about like relationships and activism and everything like that. She said, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. Right. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. So I think that that's just our fight for relationships, our fight for freedom, our fight for our kids and their education. Like, I feel like all of that can be summed up in like, we have nothing to lose by fighting, except for our chains, except for everything that's holding us back.
Well, I enjoyed having this conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Yeah. We can always do another one.
Yeah, this is cool.
And we can always bring in more people. So if you guys ever want to do it again and want to bring in more people, we're open. But like we said, we have a lot going on this year. There's a lot more that the world needs to know. And some of our listeners are actually Florida residents. Okay. So if you guys would like to share how they can get in contact with you, how they can follow you, how they can keep up with like any new things that you guys may be putting out there, you can go ahead and share.
So I'm on all the social medias. You can find me Jasmen, Jasmen Rogers-Shaw, on Instagram and on Facebook. So Jasmen. I should be the first one that pops up because my mom spelled my name that way. So yeah, feel free to follow me on Facebook, on Instagram. That's where I'm at. LinkedIn, whatever.
I'm only on Facebook. Asa Rogers-Shaw. If you follow her, you'll see me. But I'm not on Facebook for this month of August because it's Black August. Just making sure that I commemorate and go inward for this month.